There have been numerous reports over the years of Jesus statues reportedly moving, but the latest incident in Mexico has left many people stunned. According to eyewitnesses, a statue of Jesus on the altar suddenly raised its head during Mass. Some of those who witnessed it believe it is a sign of the end times, while others think it signals that the return of Jesus may be closer than anyone expected. But how true are these claims? Does this truly align with biblical prophecies about the end times? Join us as we explore how the Jesus statue moved its head and what it could mean for the world. How statues were seen moving like living beings. Reports have emerged from the small town of Tepetitlan in Jalisco, western Mexico, about an event said to have taken place inside Santa Ana Church during a Lenten Mass. A worshiper attending the service recorded the moment on a mobile phone, and when the footage later reached national media, it quickly drew attention. The video showed a 300-year-old crucifix of Christ, normally kept inside a glass coffin, but placed in front of the altar that day for the 7 last words Mass, appearing to lower its head slowly in what looked like a deliberate motion. But it wasn't just the report itself that stirred reactions. There were added details that made the story especially shocking. According to reports, the clip from Tepetitlan in Jalisco lasted about 20 seconds. Parishioner Estela Gomez, who was there, later told reporters she believed the statue was trying to send a message. The parish priest, Father Juan Antonio Guerralule, admitted that something had happened but did not describe it as a miracle. He explained that the head most likely dropped because the rope holding it in place had not been properly secured when the statue was taken out of its usual position. He chose not to report the matter to higher church authorities, calling it a natural occurrence. That incident was not the only story coming from Mexico during that time. Another video had already spread widely, although it had actually been recorded months earlier in Saltillo, in the northeastern state of Coahuila de Zaragoza. This footage, taken inside a chapel during a service, appeared to show a statue of Jesus Christ briefly opening and then closing its eyes. The video gained wider attention through Adimensional, a website focused on paranormal investigations. Even Escamilla, the site's manager, said that more than 20 paranormal researchers, along with priests, sculptors, film editors, and special effects experts, examined the footage for hours and did not find signs of manipulation. The Diocese of Saltillo, however, rejected the claim outright and refused to even review the video. Other analysts pointed out that a yellow ribbon attached to the cross was moving and that what looked like a human hand could be seen shifting beneath the statue's tunic just before the supposed motion. Still in Saltillo and also around 2016, another report surfaced during a public Catholic procession. However, something made this account even more striking than the earlier incident. According to the story, the statue was being carried through the streets as part of a religious event when some witnesses began saying that its head had tilted. What made this claim more convincing to those present was that several of the people physically carrying the statue said they felt it shift in their hands. Critics who later examined video of the moment argued that the movement was caused by wind or by human handling, again pointing to what appeared to be a hand moving under the garment. A report from Italy described something similar, but under different circumstances. People attending a mass claimed that the arms of a Jesus statue moved slightly. Unlike the Mexican cases, no widely shared footage of the Italian claim seems to exist, and the story spread mostly by word of mouth. Because of this, it received less detailed examination, and no formal institutional response has been recorded. One evening, more than 100 members had gathered after a service when witnesses said the statue's lips began moving, followed by what appeared to be motion in its chest. Other statues in the room were then reported to show similar actions, lips moving, eyes blinking, fingers lifting and lowering over a period that witnesses told Malaysia's Guangming daily lasted close to an hour. One detail that made the situation more confusing was the difference between what people said they saw and what their phone recordings showed. Some claimed they clearly saw movement in person, but their videos showed nothing unusual. Others said the opposite, that their recordings showed motion they had not noticed while standing there. Among devotees of Sai Baba, there is also a repeated claim that a statue of the Indian spiritual leader appeared to shrug its shoulders in a way witnesses described as very lifelike. No single confirmed date has ever been attached to this report, since it has been mentioned at different times and places by different followers. Even so, these were not the only claims of statues appearing to move like living beings. Reports from other parts of the world described similar incidents, some even more startling, with witnesses saying the statues seemed to blink and move their eyes. Let's take a closer look at those accounts. Blinking statues of Virgin Mary. On August 9, 2024, the International Pilgrim Virgin statue of Our Lady of Fatima was displayed at the Basilica of St. John the Baptist in Canton, Ohio, as part of a regional tour across Northeast Ohio. The statue, commissioned in 1947 based on instructions given by Venerable Sister Lucia, one of the 3 shepherd children who reported seeing the Virgin Mary in Fatima, Portugal in 1917, had already traveled to more than 100 countries. Over the years, it had become linked with many reported miracles, including claims of physical healings, and according to its custodian, Larry Magino, 15 recorded occasions when the statue was said to weep. What drew attention in Canton that Friday, however, concerned the eyes. Katie Moran, president of the World Apostolate of Fatima USA and a resident of Canton, had been taking photographs of the statue to share on social media when she noticed something unusual. She later explained that she took one photograph, thought it looked beautiful, and then took another just to be certain. When she checked the second image, she believed the statue's eyes appeared closed. The statue is normally shown with open eyes, yet in that second photograph, the lids seemed lowered. Moran was not alone in her reaction. Parishioner Connie Liptak said she had been looking at the statue throughout the morning and believed the eyes were indeed shut. She insisted that the lashes were clearly visible in a lowered position. Both women shared their accounts and images publicly, and within days the story began appearing in national news reports. The official response was careful and restrained. Reverend David Misbrenner, pastor of the Basilica of St. John the Baptist, said he had doubts about the claim. He explained that the Catholic Church approaches such matters cautiously. The Church does not require believers to accept private revelations and prefers to examine events carefully before reaching conclusions. Father Joseph Sleeman, speaking separately in another context, suggested that such experiences might be explained as a kind of personal hallucination or imagination, where strong emotions during prayer shape what a person believes they see. Skeptics who reviewed Moran's photographs argued that the difference between the 2 images could be explained by camera angle or lighting changes. None of these explanations settled the matter for those who felt they had witnessed something meaningful. Moran responded simply, saying that those who believe do not need proof, while those who do not believe unlikely to accept it. This was not the first time the Ohio visit had been linked with claims involving the statue's eyes.
To see something this great is beautiful.
And you believe it yourself?
Of course.
And it was far from the only story of its kind being discussed. What made this case stand out was the existence of photographs that appeared to show a difference between 2 moments. Whether that difference resulted from a miracle, a mechanical factor, or the effects of light and perspective remained an open question without a formal answer. On the other side of the world, a different kind of report had surfaced nearly a decade earlier, this time involving a painting rather than a statue. On July 5, 2015, a parishioner named Kirsten Carews was attending Mass at St. Charbel's Maronite Catholic Church in Punchbowl in southwest Sydney, when a friend urged her to look up at a painting above the altar. The image showed the Virgin Mary holding the infant Jesus. At first, Carews did not understand what she was supposed to notice. Then she believed she saw the mouth moving. She later described asking her friend if the lips were truly moving, and when her friend agreed, she felt a sudden chill run through her body. Carews recorded the painting on her phone and uploaded the video on social media the same day, where it gathered more than 50,000 views. But that is not even all. 2 weeks later, on July 19, another parishioner, George Akari, recorded his own footage of the same painting during Mass. In his recording, the Virgin Mary's lips seemed to move in rhythm with the congregation as they recited the Lord's Prayer, appearing to speed up and slow down along with the spoken words. Akari stated that he had seen this happen several times before, under different lighting conditions, and had not thought to record it until he saw Carews' video. He wrote that lighting could not explain the effect because he had witnessed it in various settings. He also claimed that the experience was not limited to one painting and that other images in the church appeared to behave in similar ways during prayer. Reverend Father Joseph Sleeman did not share this interpretation. After watching the footage many times, he said he could not see anything unusual and suggested that what witnesses believed they saw might result from imagination, shaped by the emotional atmosphere of worship. He did not formally condemn the claims, but made clear he would not describe the event as miraculous. Carews disagreed with those views. She maintained that she and others watched the lips moving directly with their own eyes, starting, stopping, and moving again, and that the timing seemed to match the prayer. She believed it was a miracle, not a lighting effect, because several people observed the same thing at once. Regardless of the explanation, the video spread beyond the local congregation and attracted many visitors who came to the church hoping to witness the painting during prayer. Across these accounts, Ohio in 2024 and Sydney in 2015, a similar pattern appears. There are photographs or videos that remain open to interpretation, witnesses who feel completely certain about what they experienced, religious authorities who respond with caution or doubt, and public discussions that never fully settle the issue. What these reports do not provide is a case where an independent investigation confirmed that an object truly moved. But there are other accounts involving religious statues that take these stories even further. What makes them truly shocking is that they go beyond simple blinking or movement. These statues are said to weep or even shed blood. Where did these events happen? Keep watching to find out. Statues, crying tears, or blood. The case in South Korea is one of the most well-known examples of statues reportedly crying. In 1985, a Virgin Mary statue there was said to have started producing liquid from its eyes. People who saw it described it in different ways. Some said it looked like normal tears, while others thought it looked more like blood. Word spread quickly, and many people came to see it for themselves. For those who believed, the sight confirmed that something unusual, maybe even supernatural, was happening. Whether true or not, the reaction was real. Crowds gathered, people whispered to each other, and there was a quiet intensity, as if everyone felt they were witnessing something extraordinary. A similar event was reported in Chicago in 2005. A statue of Jesus at a Ukrainian church on the city's northwest side appeared to weep tears. Witnesses said they could see liquid flowing from the statue's eyes. Many people prayed nearby. Some dropped to their knees, and others became overwhelmed with emotion. For those present, it felt like the statue was sending a message that words could not express. Whether it was truly miraculous or not, the effect on those who saw it was undeniable. In New Mexico, a Virgin Mary statue also reportedly shed moisture from its eyes. The event was quieter than some of the other reports, but the response was familiar. People came, stood before the statue, and watched closely. Many interpreted the moisture as a form of communication from the divine, a signal meant for those paying attention. There is also a report of a statue of Our Lady of Guadalupe producing tears during a church service. This happened in the middle of Mass, while people were praying. Witnesses said tears flowed from the statue's eyes and the congregation reacted with strong emotion. For many, it felt like a direct response to their prayers, a message from heaven. Whether it was truly miraculous or influenced by the emotional atmosphere, the event left a lasting impression on those present. The events continue to inspire debate and fascination, leaving many to wonder if something beyond the ordinary might be at work. However, there are those who believe these events are far from ordinary. They claim the weeping statues fulfill some of the most important prophecies and signs of the end times described by Jesus Christ in the book of Matthew. But how much of this is true? Stay tuned, because we're about to reveal what no one has told you about these biblical prophecies, the end-time prophecies. For centuries, those who study the Bible through the lens of end-time prophecy have pointed to unusual signs in the world around them as confirmation that the final days foretold in Scripture are drawing near. Among the most emotionally powerful of these signs, at least for those who believe, are the accounts of statues of the Virgin Mary or Jesus Christ appearing to move, weep, or shed blood. To the faithful, these are not accidents or illusions. They are understood as a message from heaven, a signal that something extraordinary is happening in the spiritual realm. Many believers interpret these occurrences as Jesus weeping over the state of humanity, mourning the weight of sin that is spread across the earth, just as he wept over Jerusalem in the Gospel of Luke. When people see a statue shed tears or blood, they are not just witnessing a strange event. In their hearts, they are watching God respond to the moral collapse of the world. And for those who hold to biblical prophecy, that response connects directly to what Jesus himself warned would come in the last days. The passage in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 24, is perhaps the most quoted portion of the New Testament when it comes to end-time discussions. Jesus sat on the Mount of Olives, and when his disciples asked what signs would announce the end of the age, he gave them a detailed and sobering answer. He spoke of wars and rumors of wars, of nations rising against nations and kingdoms against kingdoms, of famines, earthquakes, pestilences, and of great tribulation unlike anything the world had ever seen. He warned about false prophets who would deceive many, about a growing coldness in the hearts of people, and about the love of many growing cold because lawlessness would increase. He said the gospel would be preached to every nation before the end would come. And then he spoke of signs in the sky, of the sun being darkened and the moon failing to give its light, of the stars falling and the powers of the heavens being shaken. Each of these signs, to many believers, is not a distant future possibility. It is something already visible in the world today. And the weeping statues, the blinking eyes, the tilting heads of religious icons are seen as a kind of divine underline drawing attention to what Jesus already said was coming. When Jesus warned about wars and rumors of wars, he was not speaking abstractly. He was describing a world in constant conflict, a world where peace is always just beyond reach. That description fits the current global landscape with an almost uncomfortable precision. The war between Russia and Ukraine, which intensified dramatically in February 2022, brought large-scale conventional warfare back to Europe for the first time since the Second World War. The conflict in Gaza that erupted in October 2023 drew international condemnation, sparked protests across continents, and raised fears of a wider regional war involving Iran, Lebanon, and other powers. In the Horn of Africa, Sudan descended into a brutal civil war in 2023 between rival military factions. Meanwhile, tensions between China and Taiwan continue to simmer, with military exercises and political pressure raising the possibility of conflict in the Pacific. To those reading Matthew chapter 24, these events are not separate political crises. They are the fulfillment of a prophecy spoken 2,000 years ago. Bishop T.D. Jakes, one of the most prominent voices in American Christianity, has said publicly that the signs of the times are undeniable and that the church must wake up to what is happening in the world. But it didn't end there. Jesus also warned of famines, and that sign too appears to be very much alive in the present day. According to the United Nations World Food Program, more than 330 million people faced acute food insecurity in 2023, a figure driven by conflict, climate disruption, and economic instability. Countries like Somalia, Ethiopia, South Sudan, Yemen, and Afghanistan have experienced recurring famine conditions that have claimed lives by the thousands. The situation in Yemen, where a years-long war has destroyed agricultural infrastructure and blocked aid deliveries, has been described by humanitarian organizations as one of the worst man-made famines in modern history. Climate-related droughts have devastated crops in the Sahel region of Africa, while floods in Pakistan in 2022 submerged nearly a third of the country and wiped out harvest after harvest. Pope Francis has spoken on multiple occasions about the global food crisis, calling it a moral scandal in a world that produces enough food to feed everyone. Many within the Catholic tradition and beyond have connected his words to the prophetic warnings of Scripture, arguing that what Jesus described in Matthew is not a theoretical future, but a present reality. The mention of pestilences and plagues in the Bible has taken on new meaning since 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic spread across the world in just a few weeks. More than 7 million deaths were officially recorded, though the real number is likely higher when extra deaths are considered. The pandemic disrupted economies, closed churches, and created fear and uncertainty on a global scale. Many believers saw this as closely connected to the warnings and prophecies in the Bible. It wasn't only evangelical Protestants making this connection. Early in the pandemic, messages from Vatican officials and Catholic bishops described the crisis as a call to repentance and a chance to reflect on the path of humanity. Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano, a controversial figure in Catholic circles, wrote about what he called a spiritual battle happening behind the scenes of the public health crisis. Regardless of opinions about him, the fact that a high-ranking church leader used the language of prophecy and spiritual warfare shows how strongly end-time ideas remain in religious thought. Jesus also warned that lawlessness would increase and that people's love would grow cold. These words from Matthew chapter 24 are repeated often in modern preaching and seem very relevant today. Rising violent crime in big cities, loss of trust in institutions, and divisions in communities over politics, race, and ideology are seen by many pastors and theologians as signs of moral decline. Social media has made it easier for cruelty, lies, and hate to spread quickly. Hate crimes and political violence have increased in many countries. In this context, reports of statues weeping make emotional sense to many believers. Just as Jesus mourned over Jerusalem in Luke 19, People feel it is believable that he could weep again now, and that his tears could appear through statues and icons in churches. Jesus also spoke of signs in the heavens and changes in nature. Earthquakes have become a regular feature in the news. In February 2023, a huge earthquake struck Turkey and Syria, killing more than 50,000 people and leaving hundreds of thousands homeless. Japan, located in active tectonic zones, has experienced several major earthquakes in recent years. Volcanoes have erupted more in Iceland, especially on the Reykjanes Peninsula, from late 2023 into 2024. Wildfires of historic size have burned across Canada, Australia, Greece, Hawaii, and California. Hurricanes have become stronger and more frequent. Scientists say these events are caused by climate change, but many theologians believe this does not conflict with prophecy. They argue that God can work through natural processes and that the increasing speed and scale of disasters may be part of the warnings Jesus gave to his followers. So do you think the crying statues have a biblical explanation? Do you believe they are a sign of the end times? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, click on the next video on your screen. You won't want to miss it.